Hello, everyone. This is welcoming you to the program Shagalinku. It's a beautiful Saturday, and I hope you're all doing well this weekend. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and I'll be anchoring Shagalinku today from now till the end of the program. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, everyone who's been sending us feedbacks, yeah, to tell us how you've been enjoying the programs and everyone who's also been contributing. If you just joined us now, it's okay, but would like you to like the page, both on Facebook and also on Instagram and all our social media handle. It's at Shagalinku TV. Like the page and then follow in the conversations. Today we'll be delving on climate change and COVID-19. A lot of times people don't see how it relates, but we also know that, air pollution, floodings and all that. We're even in the raining season right now, and a whole lot happens when there are open defecations, when people are not willing to be hygienic and keep the environment clean, when people burn tires and burn farms without knowing all the implications and the health hazards attached to it. So we've been asking since the flyers came out 2 days ago, we're asking what are some of the lessons that you have learned as a result of COVID-19? I know a lot of people, each time we talk about COVID-19 as a topic, they've also talked about how the government needs to put in place a whole lot when it comes to health facilities, infrastructures that work, building the capacity of health personnel, and making sure that our health centers are working, because it just opened up a whole lot of abnormalities when it comes to the health industry, the health sector, and all that. Okay, so today we'll be looking at how COVID-19, some of the lessons it has brought, and why we should also begin to take climate change seriously and all that. I've got two very wonderful guests in the house. One is a regular, one is a newbie here. They'll be joining me now, and we'll be asking them to introduce themselves, and then we'll go on to talk about our discussions for today. Well, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello,
Gambari.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah, Gloria, I will start with you. I'd like you to introduce yourself properly. I know some of our viewers have seen the flyers. In fact, I got a call from one of our viewers, very regular viewer who watches us from London. I'm sure he's watching right now, and he will like, "What is it, Gabari? You have come again. What is the relationship between COVID-19 and climate change?" But I know you guys will be talking a whole lot about it because you and Pius have, arguably been in this field for a long time. But let's even start with the basics. Who is Gloria? What does she do? Where does she live? And all that.
Okay, so my name is Gloria Kasambulus. I am from Kaduna, which is in Nigeria, and which is in the northern part of Nigeria. I prefer to be called the team lead for Bridge That Gap initiative, which is a non-profit organization that is focused on governance, environment, and also education. I'm also the West African coordinator for the West African regional coordinator for African climate reality, the African branch of the climate reality project.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, are our regular now. Pius, do you still need introduction? Okay, we,
Okay,
we know
I
some
think
people might be new here. We might have new people who
yeah.
join us. So please let us know who Pius is and what he does and where he resides.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, listeners and friends. I'm Pius Oko. Um, Currently the project officer for Climate and Sustainable Development Network, which is also the National Platform for Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. Just like the name implies, we unite CSOs in efforts for climate-friendly approach and also sustainable development calls within the country and the continent. Personally, I'm also a sustainable development practitioner and a climate justice campaigner. Thank you.
You're all welcome. It's good to have you all. I know you guys are very busy with a whole lot, but thanks for joining us today. We'll be looking at how it relates. COVID-19 is still here, and this is opening like a new horizon for everyone, for young people, for women, for even NGOs, because there were things we took for granted hitherto. I know people have talked about hand washing. There are NGOs who talk about open defecation. You guys have also been active in climate change issues. And sometimes when you talk about climate change, it's only during rainy season that people even um, think about it and say, okay, we hear organizations talk about XYZ, and then when you tell them clear your gutters, be careful how you burn bushes and all that, Nigerians and sometimes people don't even just take things seriously until now. Even when NGOs, activists were talking about how deplorable health care facilities were, they looked at it from the government was looking at it from the angle of these people are being antagonistic. We were all crying out that women who are pregnant needed safe spaces to give birth to children. Young girls also needed places where they could have a whole lot of health information. People really didn't, the government particularly didn't take all this into cognizance. They didn't see COVID-19 coming. And here it has come, and boom, our health system is overwhelmed and all that. Pius, can you take us through what it is like as lessons we have learned um, with the COVID period, with the pandemic period, while I will come back later to ask Gloria to also bring in a fusion of what the relationship is between COVID and climate change. But let's even start with COVID now. Pius, you have done a whole lot in terms of sensitization and all that. What are some of the lessons that you can say as an activist, as a civil society person? What have you learned, and what are people also not learning? Because we still have a divide, theories flying here and there. What's your view?
Okay, thank you. I think one of the lessons I'll say we've learned is that people matter, our lives matter, and also the planet matters. That's a key one for us to understand that it's critical. And from the public health to clean energy, from organizing to innovations, it's urgent that the planet and we need people like us working on such key issues that is affecting us right now or that is affecting our time. And so, be it coronavirus, be it the climate crisis, it's not a distance away from us. It's not a distance threat. It is right in our doorsteps. And so it's affecting billions of lives. I think that's the take home lesson I would say. It's been that we've learned from the COVID 19 and also the climate crisis currently ongoing. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask Gloria. It's a good thing we are having a female on our panel today, because sometimes we've hardly find females who could come on and talk. Women, whether we like it or not, are caregivers, and they've also been overburdened with this whole thing. So you find women who become extra caregivers by virtue of either their parents fall sick with COVID and they are down, their friends, their relatives, their sisters, someone is always close to them that they are burdened with this. Are you not worried about the conspiracy theories that we keep hearing everywhere, that we should even not be mindful of that? All we should be thinking is how to safeguard ourselves, because in life, whether you like it or not, there will always be theories. I remember when I had Pius the other time, we're saying even if vaccine come out today and they are begging people, come and take vaccine to save your life, people will always find one theory. The men will say they want to make them sterile so that they don't give birth to children. The women will come up with theories and say they are closing people's womb because of all that. So let me even ask Gloria, are you not worried when you talk with some women and they like tell you there's nothing like COVID-19, and they look at you like one strange person somewhere?
Well, it's quite worrisome, but the truth is, the same way the approach for climate change is, that's the same way a lot of people approach COVID 19. Like, as I speak with you today, a lot of people do not even believe that COVID-19 is actually real. And then even with the way it's on the news globally, they still do not believe it. With the number of cases coming up, like on the increase daily, and the number of deaths, but some of them are affiliated to some political propaganda or some corruption manipulation, stuff like that. But then, if you don't believe in your country, that it's so sad to say that probably Nigeria, you believe that Nigeria is corrupt and stuff like that. But then look at the global world. This is a global pandemic, not respecter of country. It is not respecter of class or race or color or anything. So I mean, that's enough for you to actually believe it, despite the fact that you believe probably a lot of people believe that Nigeria is a corrupt nation, or probably a lot of figures have been manipulated. But it also saddens my heart that even women do not believe. Like yesterday, I was listening to a conversation somewhere, and we overheard one girl saying, "Is COVID-19 still around?" Do you understand? I mean, so we couldn't help but like no one, like ask ourselves like, is this actually someone like an
For
adult?
real?
Understand? Is this for real? And so I mean, these conversations are not new, they're everywhere. But at times it's so sad that we keep denying ourselves some of this, just like we have the climate denials until it hits us bad. And so we're running helter skelter to try to find solutions, just like it is now with the climate change. I mean, so it's really very sad when I come across such.
Okay. Thank you. We're beginning to get messages already. A very ever regular viewer from Philistine in Philippines in Asia, talking about Karim A. Jackson. He says, "God bless you, brother. Have a great show." Well, thank you, Jackson, all the way from Philippines in Asia. Always listening and watching us. And this one is from El Sadiq Aliyu Said. It says, "Hello, good afternoon." Well, Said is from Kano here. Thank you, Said. And my guests are here. We'll be looking at so many things here. So we'll also ask, for those of you joining us right now, we're asking what are the lessons you've learned from COVID-19 and how it relates to climate change. We'll be looking at all that. I've got two very vibrant people who have been in the field doing a whole lot, talking about Gloria and Pius. Now, Pius, let me come to you. I'll read some of the messages that came from the flyers, but let's just do a basics, and then as we go on the program, I'll be reading some of the messages, and then you guys can be responding to them. Now, you and Gloria have talked about the take-home experiences for you with regards to climate COVID-19. Let's narrow it down to climate change. Like I said when we opened up the show, many people, when you even talk about climate change, they still tell you una dey find way to collect una dey collect money from abroad, just make una bobo us. When we tell grandmothers the impact and the adverse effect of cooking with firewood, they still tell us, say, now this firewood our grandmama take cook, and in fact the soup dey sweet more with firewood, the taste dey sweet more pass. I'm sure Gloria must have heard some of these things when you go out to talk with elderly women. They tell you, now be the Maggi for the soup and all that. So let me even ask Pius, are you not worried when people don't also take climate change as something worrisome that they also need to look? And let's even start with, what is the correlation between COVID-19 and climate change?
Okay, I'll say first, there's been a lot of arguments recently. Currently, the drop in emissions to the drop in pollution, for example, people said, or some persons are saying it should be celebrated. Although those drop has been as a result of the direct function of reduced social and economic activities, and well, it does not really represent the livable future we want, but rather the coronavirus, I think, has shown us that there's this need for us to put on that selfless fight in which we put for this coronavirus to prevent millions of deaths as a result of climate crisis. Recently, here in Nigeria, we've seen results of flooding, even in less prone or let's say not close to riverine areas, communities have been prone and also are affected by flooding. We've had a series of issues of burning, even in offices and so on, as a result of these issues of climate change. And that's the direct impact of climate change. So the virus and also the coronavirus and the climate crisis requires that selflessness and heroism that especially the political will and the resources needed. That is the response that we need to give it now. And that also is what we are calling for the Green Deal, where we talk about clean and renewable energy. We need government approach and also individual approach and entities, organization approach to really move towards that end now. We also need the issues of climate of smart agriculture that we call it, where people will go into more climate smart agriculture practices that will help us to recover even our economy as or after the crisis. So it's something that we need to really imbibe and also follow up with swiftly because we need it more now than ever.
Yeah, Gloria, let me come to you. How are women more impacted in all this? Because they seem to be in the middle, you know. Just when we're talking about climate change, talking about cleanliness, talking about other social vices and issues, especially with the gender-based violence thing going around, we're talking about that. The pandemic and the lockdown came in as a result of COVID-19, and then you find women always being at the circle of all this. In your mind, who are the worst hit, the men or the women, and how can they begin to reorganize their lives to, they said it's the new norm now, you know. Pius was on this show some time back and said, how do we begin to live the new normal, you know? So what in your view can we begin to say women and young girls should begin to do when it comes to COVID-19 and climate change?
Usually, when there's a pandemic or most likely impacts, even that of climate change, the most vulnerable are always hit the most. Like even looking at it globally, Nigeria, Africa is one of the most African nations are one of the most hit by the climate change crisis, and why this is happening is because of our little or no capacity in terms of response to crisis, in terms of funding, and then and to make it all boils down to capacity. And so the same approach is applicable to the COVID-19. And so that, and when it boils down, when you look at it, who are the most vulnerable in these nations, we will definitely have to, the women are most vulnerable, children are most vulnerable. And why is it that? Because women, because of our traditional role as women, that is what makes us most vulnerable. And like you have said earlier, we are the ones that take care of the sick people in the family, the elderly in the family, the children that are sick. And aside to that, again, we are the ones that are saddled with the responsibilities at home, the household chores. So we are the ones that will have to um, do the cooking, the fetching of water, and so many other things. And of course, that actually affects the woman as a person. It could even be health wise, mentally, and emotionally, and stuff like that, especially when she's saddled with a lot of responsibility and quite a lot of stress. So the women and the girls are basically most hit in terms of the impact of COVID-19. Even if they are not infected with the virus,
Yeah.
the impact triggers down on them. And so when we talk about impact, we're not just talking about the virus itself. So we're talking about who are those ones at the receiving end. And so even when during the lockdown, the women were at the receiving end because despite the fact that men couldn't go out to source for earn some income, women are left with the responsibility that they have to provide for the family all through the lockdown. So now this has actually put women, exposed women to a lot, and actually girls, because when the older women are have so much responsibilities or are weak, it triggers down to the young girls available in the house. And so how do they reorganize their lives even after this impact? Now, this is where we're talking about women empowerment. We're talking about what are those things that women can do to support the family? What are those things that can be made available to women that could help them ease the stress or probably the impact of this already existing pandemic? The truth is, the COVID-19 has come to stay for a little while until
Yeah.
probably a solution is being found. So for now, and then even if there's a solution, it will take a while for us to bounce back economically and even physically. And so a lot of businesses are down. So this is where women empowerment is actually very important. SMEs is actually very important. How do we bring in women to start some small businesses? How do we support women? And this is where the call is on the government. This is where the call is on development partners. This is where the call is on donors. This is where the call is on individuals and even religious organizations to come in and support women. Because if you empower women, I bet it with you, and I can beat my chest and say you will be sure that they will definitely support the family. So that way, women can actually reorganize themselves. Women can actually get their lives back again and also support the family.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm getting more messages here, so let me just read some and then I'll come to Pius to talk more about how worrisome are the uncertainties regarding COVID-19 and what we can do about it in the coming months. I got this one from Nedi Nora Ugu, all the way from Enugu, and she says, you are really doing well. Keep up the good job. Thank you very much, Nedi. Nero Ugu. Yes, all the way from Enugu. Thank you very much for that. Pius, let's come to you before I go to read the other messages on the other phone here. The uncertainties, I know it's not really good to talk about the theories here, conspiracy theories here and there, but then it's becoming worrisome, just when everyone was tilting towards, okay, let's keep to washing of hands, face masks, and all that. Dr. Stella Emmanuel just boom blew the the social media, and then I'm like, oh God, just when we're just trying to calm this, because when this happens, the truth is even the enlightened ones will now say, we talk all those kind of stuff. So in the coming months, what do you think people should be doing? I mean, should we do more of sensitization, like Gloria talked, that we need to do more advocacy, even when it comes to climate change and all that? How I wouldn't want to say how difficult it is now for us to try and be rearranging the mindset of people who have over the months tried to advocate for and sensitize them, because the woman is there saying something else, WHO is there saying another, and NCDC is also, I was going to say NDDC, don't mind me for the billions. So NCDC is also there doing theirs. I am worried because at some point, WHO said COVID-19 wasn't an airborne disease. And then they came back again and said research has shown that it is truly airborne. And then when you hear people like Dr. Stella Emmanuel say the things they say, I'm not really out for whether it's true or not. But what I'm trying to say is, how do we begin to make the mindset of the commoners not also tilt to the left and to the right, and at some point they get confused? Are you worried about the uncertainties that COVID-19 is posing this period?
Of course. COVID-19 itself is a threat. So, of course, when it comes to COVID-19, the uncertainties are really a disturbing issue. But what all we need to do now is a call for united efforts. We need to increase and continuously keep the awareness with proper health information and hygiene education. We need to keep sharing this via the various channels, be it TV, radio, just like we are doing, social media, on preventing the virus from spreading. That is a call. We need to also increase effort in developing and production of, and also dissemination of proper information, like
Information.
I said.
Yeah.
Yes, it's also very, very necessary, especially, and also keeping to the hygienes. Um, we also need to keep the push for adopting community champions because these persons have a lot of followers and listeners as well. So we need to keep these champions to put this message out there. It is very, very necessary. Now, one of the key things, especially as a country, that we've not really done is to make effort in finding the vaccines. Yeah, I think that's a call for the country to make a lot of effort on that so we could have vaccine because that's the only way in which we could really curtail the virus as it is. So there's this call for periodic campaign, just like the NCDC is doing. We need to keep that push for periodic campaign on and also educating the commoners, the citizens, and more importantly, we need to increase the production of our PPE. That's the production of those preventive materials, just like the nose
Yeah.
masks, the hand sanitizers that we use. Keep reaching the social distancing that we need to keep. We still need to also help each other because it is with us. And like we say, and like we keep on saying, it is the new normal. And it's something, just like Gloria have said, that is something that has come to stay for a while. And so how can we defeat that? So it's that united effort that we need to keep the push. So thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. In case you just joined us, the program is Shagalinko TV. It comes your way every Tuesdays and Saturdays, 2 p.m. West African time. And for our foreign viewers who have different time zones, the videos are always here for you to watch, to drop your comments and your feedbacks, and we can also follow. Do remember to like our social media handles on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. All you need to do is just search for @Shagalinko TV and you can join in the conversations. If there are topics you think we should talk about that we haven't, we're always open for conversations and discussions. Just let us know and we'll find a way to get resource persons to talk about them. Today we're having two very wonderful activists, or should I say advocates. Some people don't like that word activist, so let me use the advocates thing if you don't mind. We have two advocates here who talking with us on climate change vis-a-vis COVID-19. I have Gloria all the way from Kaduna and Pius from Abuja, Nigeria, and we're looking at issues. So you can drop your comments here and we'll be reading them as the program go on. Let me ask Gloria again. First of all, um, what can young people begin to do? I mean, young people have the largest strength, whether in Nigeria or across the globe. You know, are we doing enough? Do you think we should begin to do more in terms of climate change, um, especially when it comes to global health? You know, how do we approach all that? Because sometimes it's not just enough for us to. Sometimes when we see things happen across the globe, we always have this mentality that dirty no dey kill African man, disease no dey kill African man. You see young people just move around anyhow without even face masks and they tell you, we be Africans, or then say Sunday, COVID no dey catch black person and all that. Are you not worried also in that kind of psyche that young people are not also approaching climate change issues in that angle? So for you, what do you think young people should begin to do when it comes to climate change and climate in terms of even the global health issues? Because we are seeing now with COVID-19 that the world is just a small place, that what affects one person will one way or the other either affect or infect another. So what do you have to say concerning that?
Well, there's a lot to be done for young people. Looking at the fact that young people are energetic, young people have that they're passionate when they're fully engaged in a thing, and so that leaves them with a lot of burden, with a lot of responsibility in terms of COVID-19, and not just COVID-19, but also climate change. Now, there are lots of things that young people can do, which is first they need to first understand um, what climate change or COVID-19 or whatever the pandemic is around them. They need to have clear understanding. So they need to build capacity around themselves. Now, when you understand a thing, you will be able to address it properly. Then, aside that, they need to take action. And also, what are these actions that they can take? First, it starts from they themselves. You need to start looking at what are those things that affect that affect climate change. What are those things that affect global health? So you begin to avoid those things and begin to, will I say, work towards behavioral change, work towards changing your lifestyle. And then we're now looking at you need to also be involved in policy influence, because the truth is we have a lot of policies in this country, we have a lot of laws in this country, but the implementation is actually really very sad that it's really very tough and we don't do. We just formulate laws and policies and leave them hanging like that, and people don't even understand the masses don't even understand that such laws are even existing. And there's also a need for huge sensitization that youth can actually embark on, and also advocacy, which is actually very, very important. And so, what are those little actions that youth can take? Now, in terms of agriculture, we can actually adapt sustainable agriculture, which is a climate smart agriculture. We can actually begin to use less plastics. We can up our game in plastic campaigns. We can plant trees, which is actually very, very good for to help in absorbing the carbon in the air. We know the contours of tree planting. Tree have a way they capture the carbon in the air and then release oxygen. So trees are actually very important. We can actually do a little bit of campaigns around us. Um, in our community, we can the social media is there for us, and then so many other
Sensitize them.
yes, even physical campaigns as youth we can embark on. So youths actually have quite a lot of to embark on.
Okay, Pius, I'll come to you to talk about a few lessons you've learned also from your research in this whole field work you've been doing. You actually heavily into research, and I'll come to you to talk all that. But let me take a few messages that I got when the flyers came out. Fumilayo Muzo say, COVID don't teach us to sit down for our house, so and Kathleen Oboba from Kaduna says the lesson I got from this COVID-19 is never to trust Nigerian government again. Okay, I don't understand what you mean by that. Madam Kathleen, I better put us for wahala. What has government done to you that you can't trust them? I got this other one here from Olubumi Jegede Adeniba, and she says, I learned we got more in ourselves than we take credit for. Corona made me take that leap of faith that I choose not to take out of fear of the unknown. I have broken it into time frames and I'm making progress daily. I also bought the kindness and deep wickedness in humanity during this trying period. It is well. We will get there. Okay, thank you very much for that message. What's her name? Olubumi Jagade Adeniba there. Thank you very much. Okay, back to Pius. From some of your researches and a lot of your field work you've done, I wouldn't say which way forward for COVID now because it's not like it's gone, so we're saying which way forward. But then, like everyone keeps saying, the new norm and the new norm and all that. But what basically will you be telling people who are watching right now? Because the whole world is just in a little to the right and a little to the left. Like I said, we were just beginning to say, okay, we're beginning to have one voice. And Dr. Stella Emmanuel just came up with a trending video, which of course have been deleted in some destinations and all that. So what would you even say about some of the things you've seen on the field vis-a-vis your research findings?
Um, Thank you. I think majorly one thing I'll say another lesson, which also is as a build up as a result of our research is there's going to be issues of food security affecting because of the restriction in movement and also the way farmers are not really going into the field any longer. So, and that's the reason why we are calling also on, just like Gloria was emphasizing on that smart agriculture. I do advocate now for youth, most especially, to go into homegrown gardens, and also fishery and possibly poultry, because as youth we need energy, and I think one of the major factor, one of the contributor to energy is food. So we need to keep our food security intact, and so we could do that through those little efforts. Yes, of course, I would say yes, and maybe depending on how far we look into the future, of course, there's going to be a research rethink or different approach to research, because the pandemic uh, certainly has changed the outlook of possibly like the issue of climate crisis, carbon emission for the next few years, because the economy is suffering, and hopefully to recover, immediate efforts needed to come in. And so it may change the outlook for the next decade or so. Researchers are now studying, for example, how countries could meet not really the emission level in 2030, but how they could possibly find a solution to the pandemic. And definitely, this account is going to show that research is gradually also shifting ground because of what we are facing currently. So, of course, it's going to affect research, but we individually, we need to take effort, especially locally, because one of our mainstays is agriculture and food for sustainability. So we need to look into that deeply and take such efforts, like previously mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pius. Gloria, let's even talk a little about your award before I ask you between the climate crisis and that of COVID-19, which will pose more long threats, long term threats for people. Because like I keep wondering, I'm still wondering how international flights will pull through when eventually people start traveling. Because for us as Nigerians and Africans, even when the global world starts flying, you know us as a people that we were always still you know held back at some point. We like, this the way that is spray that better was, so this one way that we are always, people fly when they see a foreigner as a pilot. You understand what I'm trying to, there's a mindset that even when you are going from Abuja to Lagos and it's a foreigner that is flying you as a pilot, you are more at rest, and that you feel, so we always have this mindset about things. So I'm still looking at what will be like between COVID and climate crisis, which one will be like a long threat to people. So which will people be easily able to come back and say, okay, you know what, we're flying. Because if you even remember the first flight from, I think, Lagos to Port Harcourt or where, someone came down and someone sent a tweet that went viral as well, and saying his boss was on that flight and he had traces of COVID-19 related and blah blah, and everyone started panicking again, and people started sharing the message that if you were on that flight or you met, so it just shows you that even when flights resume and work resumes normally, people will still have something at the back of their mind. But quickly, let's even talk about your award, and then we come back and talk about this.
Okay, so on the 26th of July, okay, we're in August now. So on the 26th of July, I was privileged to be one of the recipients of the Green Ring Award, which is the Alfredo Sekis Memorial Award from the Vice President. Okay, we use former or past, but I
In the
think
in
they're
the
very
US, it's the vice president. In the US, it's still the vice
yes, the
president.
Vice President Al Gore, whom we have all known to be a climate activist. And I happened to be trained by Al Gore in 2017 in one of his um, trainings back in Seattle, Washington State, in the United States of America. I think that is what actually shaped me, my climate activism, my passion for environment. I've always had that, but I think that was what even actually brought me to the lamplight and began to take action. So this is an award that I least expected, and so it came as a really very big surprise because, like usually when you see people like research awards, you just feel like, oh, this can never come to me, and so I never ever bothered about it. But the shock came when I got an email that I was going to do a panel discussion that would be moderated by Al Gore himself. So that was the big one, and I was excited about the panel discussion, but I didn't attach so much importance to it. Like people around me were like, "Wow, wow," that kind of thing. And so the D-Day came within the recording because it was virtual. So before it was aired, and they told us we're coming back for a follow-up shoot. And so I told one of my colleagues that follow-up shoot, and when you do recording now, and then it's not properly done, you need to come back again, you now do it again. Those kinds of things. I mean, we need to have visitors now. So I was trying to explain that as per what they wrote, follow up in email. So we came back for a follow up shoot, and then four of us were given the award. There
Wow.
was Anna she's Indonesia. She's from Indonesia, but she resides in the United States. Then there was Tim. He resides in the New York, and Zimena from Costa Rica. And so the big thing about the award is that I am actually the first in Africa to receive the award, and I'm actually female again. So it has been, in fact, at first I was excited, but right now I really don't know if I'm excited about it because I think it's when because as of yesterday, I was able to track about 70 platforms that recorded this award. And even in the US, it's been high in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. The messages are overwhelming on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, like Instagram, like people I don't even know, people that I know. The calls are coming in. I thought you usually when you're on the news, like after 2 days, it's over or one day, but then it's still on that even till today. I'm still having messages coming in, calls are coming in. So I've left that excitement part and I'm at the level of overwhelmed that I don't know if when I sleep and I wake up, somebody just tell me, no, 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 that was actually a dream. And so I think now that this award has come, it actually comes with a very big responsibility for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that saddens my heart because one, I am going to have a lot of eyes on me to see, okay, what is she up to or what has she been doing? And I know right now a lot of people are beginning to dig. What has this girl been doing? Stuff like that. And then people will still continue to dig further. And so and I have to really be there. I have to really grant like media interviews,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so it comes with a very big responsibility, and I don't know how to handle it. And so I had to let out a cry to people around me. Oh, I can't do this alone. You all have to join me. We need to do this all together. And then
Pius is always there.
yes, and my friends are doing all they can to really
Oh,
support
God.
me. The award is yet to arrive in the country. So I'm actually waiting because I believe that by the time the award comes, that's a different ball game again. Because
Yeah.
with that, I have to definitely start from the charity begins at home. So I have to
Yeah.
start from my own state. My governor is there, the commissioner is there, the House of Assembly is there. Then before we now pick up at national, and then I don't know, probably the African award. I don't know where we'll take it to. And I've been getting some congratulatory message. The senator representing Kaduna South, Senator distinguished Senator La, sent me a congratulatory letter. I got, I think I was able to speak on phone with the Honorable Minister for Environment. The Minister for Environment I spoke to, I saw a Twitter message saying, congratulating me, and a whole lot. And then I'm just looking forward to having the award. Maybe then I can wake up with my
from your dreamland.
yeah. And so back to the question you asked, the threat between climate crisis and COVID-19. There's quite a lot of similarities between COVID-19 COVID-19 and climate crisis. But the truth is, um, climate change poses quite a very huge impact than what we um, expect. Now, I say that COVID-19 is like a preamble, like an introduction of how the climate crisis will be. Now, the COVID-19 only affects health, and of course, it has brought in a lot of economic meltdown. It has affected agriculture. It has affected quite a number of things. And it's not far from the climate crisis. The climate crisis is going to birth new health, new diseases, new pandemic that we might not be able to handle because the glaciers are melting. And when they're melting, diseases will be coming up. We're going to have alterations in our weather condition and in our climate, and it will bring a lot of problems for us. Now, how will we cope with the excessive heat? How will we cope with the inconsistency in rainfall? Definitely affect food. Then we're now coming back to think about energy. Now, how then can we cope with that? So, the threat to to COVID-19, I believe, can still be addressed if we our scientists put their hands together. And there are other pandemics that have come. When malaria came, it was like that. The whole world was woo malaria. HIV came, people were already on our toes and stuff like that. But they were able to handle it, and people are living with HIV today. People are living with malaria. I'm very sure they said in every Nigeria there's always one plus malaria in their blood system. Then people like that are AA, people like us, I'm very sure every time. In fact, I don't know if it's a monthly thing or so. We always come down with malaria. So it's something that we have come to live with, and probably with vaccines like the meningitis and so hepatitis, we have vaccines already that people are taking, and so that means it can be contained. But that of the climate crisis, is there a vaccine for that? Can we have a vaccine to help us change the weather condition? Can we have a vaccine that can bring about that can regulate that can enhance our rainfall? Can we have a vaccine that can help us with soil fertility? Can we have a vaccine that can deal with energy? What are the solutions to that? I mean, it's not solutions that we can actually apply immediately. It's a long-term thing. And so once it hits us, it will hit us bad. And so to me, and I think the experts are saying it, the scientists are saying it, the impact of climate change is worse than COVID-19. But just that the impacts are coming gradually and it's over a long period of time. And so you can't say that the climate is changing because you have to have observed the climate for over a long period of time, say 10, some 20, 30, over several years. But for
Yeah.
COVID-19, sudden, it just came up like that. And so something that so for that of climate, as it keeps releasing the impact slowly and slowly and slowly, and as we're not addressing it, that is how it will catch us, it will take us unawares, and it will hit us at a point that we might not be able to contain it. We saw the way we're running helter skelter to take care of to address the COVID-19,
COVID.
and
Yeah.
that is probably the way the climate crisis will be if we do not do anything
Yeah,
about it
the
now.
needful.
Okay, Pius, let me bring you up to this. You've been on so many international platforms where they talk about uh, climate change. Platforms where world leaders come around and make commitments, and then sign documents pledging that when they go back, or countries will, in partnership, do a whole lot when it comes to climate change. Um, which of some of these international platforms have been more impacting for you, but coming back and you're not still finding that push, because sometimes our leaders are quick to commit and show solidarity when it comes to world world agreements. You know, they are quick to sign treaties, they are quick to sign agreements, they are quick to sign documents, and then they come back and then nothing happens afterward. Which of the foreign platforms have you been in and you felt the fight for climate change, you feel like, okay, you know what, after this, once I come back to Nigeria, things will go well? And then how has it been for you? I'm putting you on the hot
Okay.
spot, ma.
Well, I was smiling because actually it's on the hotspot. But let me just start by saying, just adding to Gloria, agreeing with her, and also adding to her that we need to do a lot because we can't really compare COVID-19 and climate change. They are two issues, crisis, and so it doesn't need for comparison, but measures to tackle them. And I would say even scientists have clearly also stated that or trace the history of the COVID-19 to climate related issues because it's been linked to animals, the origin of COVID-19. And why do animals get close to us? Because of will I say, conservation negligence. Because we are not tackling conservation enough, and so the animals are also coming closer to us, and we are now prone to diseases, zoonosis, as the case might be. So that's another angle we should look at it from, that climate crisis is critical and it is hitting us already, and we need to tackle it as much as we are tackling COVID. Now, on the issue of rating, I won't really dive into that because, of course, I'll need statistics to put me also the listeners to convincing spirit to say this is this. But of course, a lot of platforms like the UNFCCC, which is a major key decision body for even commitment of nations and parties to put this. Of course, the the champion has been there. Even Nigeria, for example, where even the Paris Agreement will have the president signing to that agreement. So we have in that platform we have over 196 countries and nations signing to an agreement to tackle the issue of climate change. So that's actually is the strongest, if I'll say, commitment that we've had tackling climate change and the SDGs. Yes, but coming back, it's now dependent on the country's own commitment, which is drive us also to the national determined contribution, which is the NDC, that we also engaging with governments as CSOs to try and push them to key into those commitments. Also looking at the key areas, for example, Nigeria having the 5 sectors in which Nigerians are committed to tackling, which climate change is a major key because we are talking about clean energy, we're talking about smart agriculture, we're talking about reduction in emission from the oil and gas, we're talking about transportation and industry. So it's now that commitment already is there. Is now the implementation. Just like Gloria was saying, that we have a lot of policies on ground, we have a lot of documents to guide us in tackling some of these issues already, let's say, affecting us. But what is really needed is that commitment to implementation, and that's where we are coming in, and that's where we are having this program. That we need to do more on the COVID-19. We need to do more on climate crisis or climate change affecting us. We need to see a situation where prone interventions, are already on ground before the flooding comes into place, before our agriculture gets or our food planted in the field gets devastated or affected by flood, by diseases. We need to have measures in place like improved seeds that could withstand even drought, that will withstand disease attacks. We need to have this in place. We need to commit to clean energy, where we'll be able to have renewable energy sources, where our country could be able to, let's say, produce, for example, the solar panel, or drive into hydropower where it is less emitting. We need to commit into reducing our gas flaring, for example, in the Niger Delta and in areas across Nigeria. We need to commit to reducing the number of cars on our road by building a lot of clean power train, or even cars that are clean powered. These are the commitment we are calling out to, and calling on individuals, organizations, governments, most especially, to key into. I think those are the things that we need to really champion.
Okay, thank you very much. We're wrapping up now. While you're talking about all that, Pius, it just also got to me, Gloria, that we're having so many air pollutions, from industries, from so many other channels. It's worrisome. I know in other climes there is Pius mentioned something about people not always using their cars. In other climes, it's people are even discouraged, from using their cars, so they could maintain a certain level. And then there are agencies that check your car worthiness. You go to Lagos at times, and the pollution from the exhaust is enough to make a pregnant woman have miscarriage. And you're wondering, and these cars are always plying the road. And then you see so many even in the farms, you find, if you travel along the northern axis a lot in the evenings, you find them burning bushes and all that, and so much air pollution going on. As we wrap up, what do you think we can begin to do to also minimize all that?
First, I think we need to sit back and look at our policies again, like I will always say. Um, there are laws on pollution that needs to be strengthened, and this is where the government comes in to try to see how they can strengthen those laws and enforce those laws. Aside doing that, there is also some sensitization, and this is where we need the media to help us amplify our voices. Because without the media, like I will always say, if I scream now, very few people will hear. But then if we join our voices and we scream, quite a number of people will hear. The reach will be much. And that is why I do not undermine the role of media, and I do not even look at media as CSOs. I look at them as an entity on their own, because
On
they're
his own,
powerful
yeah.
entity. So we need the media to help us amplify our voices on this, and we also we need those enforcement agencies, those agencies that are responsible for this, to actually be on their toes and actually get to work. This is where it calls for arrest of people that are violating. If you can arrest people for not having just one bulb, your real light, probably the bulb of your real light is dead, and they can charge you for 25,000 or 20,000. But if you don't have eyes on your back to see if your real light is dead, one of it is dead or not, I mean, then we should have those law enforcement agents on ground to look out for cars that have very bad um,
Exhaust.
exhaust that emit fumes from their exhaust.
Yeah,
So it's actually
yeah.
important for us to ensure that it's actually very important to ensure that these these laws are being enforced, and then also understand the implications or the complications of this inhaling this
Pollutions.
fumes, yes, this fumes that causes pollution. So by the
Mm.
time we understand it, I'm very sure we'll begin to tell ourselves, no, 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 I beg, guy, go change that your car, or go fix your car or something like that. I mean,
Mm.
ourselves, by the time we begin to speak about it, individual and ourselves, but then we can only speak about it when we understand the
Implications, yeah. Hello?
responsibility of law enforcement. Okay, so this is not just a responsibility of law enforcement agents. It's not the responsibility of just probably CSOs or media. This is the responsibility of everyone. Because at the
Everybody,
end of
yeah.
the day, this pollution is not going to affect one person. It affects everyone. And then based on your strength, just like the COVID-19 is, they said depending on your immunity and stuff like that. And those with underlying respiratory tract diseases are more
Mm.
at risk of not surviving the COVID-19. So this is where we have to tell ourselves that we need to come to reality and know that yes, we need to fight against pollution, especially air pollution.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Pius, one last word as we wrap up now. In 30
Yeah.
seconds, what's your last word? Maybe you want to use it for greetings or anything. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, I think the time is fast spent. We wish to continue. Well, the pandemic directly affects individuals and let's say health system, but the climate change takes a broader perspective. It affects the natural and human system. So it is now called on countries and Nigeria, for example, to start launching economic recovery for easing unemployment, stabilizing the industry sectors, and then build infrastructure that will require us to respond from policymakers, businesses, and also broader society. So I want to really thank Shanka Legal TV for coming through for us all the time, for wonderful outreach out there for people to also share their thoughts and communicate. And also want to thank everybody, the health workers, everybody making effort in this time as we are going into, like say, easing off, hopefully, that we should commit more into climate change and climate crisis. Thank you.
You didn't talk about the new norm today. It is sweet for
Yes.
Pius man, like said I from the grammar. Gloria, any last word of greetings to anybody?
I like to give my last word that I want the world to know that the COVID-19 response just clearly shows us the challenges and implications of not being able to address climate change. So it is advisable for us to act fast on this climate change so that we will be able to meet up with the international standard that says we should lower our greenhouse emissions to um, to two de- um, to 2 degrees. And so now is the time for us to act really very fast. And so I like to end by thanking everyone that has watched this program, and then especially those that have reached out to me to congratulate me for my award. I also want to thank you again, also Ambassador, for hosting me in this program today. I feel really honored, and thank you because you're bringing in topics that are they are very crucial, and that I will want to encourage you that we'll have more of such topics again. This is my first time of listening to you, and I bet with you, I'll always find time to listen to some of your programs. But on the condition that you will always talk about environmental issues.
No problem. As her lordship pleases. My hands are up. Okay.
Yes, it is the new
Yeah.
normal. Yes.
Yes.
I talk I say he must talk.
Finally, we got the word. This is the new normal. So the new normal
Yes.
is we're talking about COVID-19 and climate
Climate
crisis.
change.
Sure. Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the size of the program. I want to thank everyone who's joined us. My regular, I don't want to call his name, but yeah, my regular listener and viewer from London. I'm sure you are like in the debate when they will say, with these few points of ours, we hope Gloria and Pius have been able to convince you that there's a
I'm not
relationship
confused.
between COVID.
I'm not confused
I'm
now.
not
I'm not
confused.
confused.
And not confuse you that there's a relationship between COVID-19 and climate change. Because he kept asking, even yesterday, he still said, I am waiting for your guests. I want to hear what they will say. And I'm sure he's
Yeah.
watching. He's just this silent. He watches all the programs, and even Jackson from Philippines is always watching and contributing. And I really thank all of you who are always constant here. Thank you to my guests as well, Gloria Bolus from Kaduna State and Pius Oko from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you all. I know we'll find time to do a part two. We always never can get enough of you guys. We'll look for something else we could talk about on climate change, especially now that December is around the corner, and then the rainy season is here too. So a whole lot needs to be done when it comes to sensitizing people. And Gloria, once again, congratulations on your award on behalf of Shagalinku TV. It's a good thing when we see people excel. We are always happy to celebrate our own, because if we don't talk about them, if we don't celebrate our own, who do we celebrate? I think, Pius, bad news is what people want to hear more. If Gloria had just she slapped someone at what's that, your Kasua or somewhere now, it was people will want to celebrate that. You don't hear say Gloria slap or Pius now hit someone. But when there are good things, people hardly want to celebrate that, and that's what Shagalunku is all about, to celebrate our Africanness, to celebrate humanity, to celebrate young people and even people generally who are doing stuff. And so when we come out with topics, we don't just come out with topics because of topics' sake, but we celebrate people behind these topics. And I thank you all for what the amazing jobs you guys do. You might see that no one is watching, but truly people are watching, and you can see from all the efforts that are coming. So thank you all. My name is Elise Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari. Till I see you all on Tuesday with a fresh topic, and then hopefully we'll find time to bring Gloria and Pius once again to talk about issues that border on climate change and COVID-19. I urge you all to stay blessed. The videos will be here after the program. You can share, you can comment still. It's an ongoing conversation. Like I always say, we learn from each other. Just as you learn from us, we learn from you as well. And thanks to everyone who joined us. We don't take it for granted. God bless you all and have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. So from Gloria and Pius and myself, we say thank you all and have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.